What's cooking? You're very welcome to What's Cooking right here on ChannelOne TV. My name is Apioko Seyiram Ashong Abe. But for today, you can call me Mami Efua Adaziwa. And as you can see, we're going to Fante land. But I'll tell you later what we're going to cook. I have my papa with me, you know, my fan, so which means we're going to do it the local way. But let me thank our sponsors, Tasty Tom, Ufa Kakra, Na Ye Bebre. And Tasty Tom, we've always known them for their tomato paste, which has brought a lot of joy into the Ghanaian kitchen. But now they have other things to offer. There's a beef seasoning, a shrimp seasoning, a jollof mix, a chicken seasoning, a stew mix. So look out for that. Try it. You will not regret it. I can promise you that. And then let's say a thank you to Kivo pepper as well. And Kivo pepper is extremely potent, let me warn you, but it does the job. But Kivo has other things that they also have in their range. We have the rosemary powder, there's a ginger and a rosemary mix, ginger and onion mix. I mean, all sorts of interesting things that Kivo is doing. And they also have now something that they've done with curry powder. And it's the very first official Ghanaian spice blend with curry that we have. So go look for that and try it as well. And last but not the least, let me say thank you to Susie Herbal Center for supporting What's Cooking, supporting the show, bringing their magic here to the show. And don't forget Heritage Month. So we're celebrating all things Ghanaian. We're going back to our roots. We're just exploring what it means to be Ghanaian, what it has meant to be Ghanaian. And we're making sure that we understand what all of that means, what it brings to bear, so that in the future we can carry that legacy on for our children and our grandchildren's children and all that. Amen. All right. So let's go for a break. When we come back, I'll let you know what we're cooking. But can you guess? We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is still What's Cooking right here on ChannelOne TV. My name is Apioko. Now, if you're just joining us, I said for the purposes of today, for this episode, my name is Mami Efua Adaziwa. All right? And yeah, you can call me that. Tweet at me. I'll be very happy to respond. I'm feeling myself. But there's a reason why the fancy woman in me is coming out, is boiling and spilling over. And allow me to introduce my guest. She's coming to make a very special meal, which is quintessentially Fante. We are making Fante Fante, I mean literally Fante. Fante Fante with Etew, all right? So I'm going to invite my guest, and we actually brought her all the way from Fante land, can you imagine? So allow me to introduce Dr. Alberta Bondzi-Simpson. Now, she's a very special lady, okay? She works with the University of Cape Coast. She works at the University of Cape Coast, specifically at the Department of Hospitality and Tourism Management. But what makes her extra special, because we love UCC, is the fact that she's the author of this book, Serving Ghana. Now, it is the only standard recipe book in the world that documents, I mean, we have pamphlets, and I'm going to explain why I'm saying that. We have pamphlets and coffee table books and whatnot that have Ghanaian recipes, but this is a standard cookbook worldwide, okay, international standard, called Serving Ghana, and it documents 70 plus everyday Ghanaian indigenous recipes for hospitality with step-by-step instructions. And it's brilliant. I love her for it. She spent years documenting and researching everything that you find in here. So allow me to welcome Dr. Alberta Bondzi-Simpson, who I call Prof. She is really Prof.
You had to say
I just had to. You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. And
I'm happy
look,
to be here.
You know I'm stealing this, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Haven't I given you one already?
No.
Okay.
No. The ones you gave to me, we had to push them and sell them, right?
Oh,
and
okay.
send them. So this one, I'm
This one is a
yes,
personal one.
it's a personal one.
I
You're
see.
welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome, Doc. How
For
are
the
you doing?
purposes of this Fante program, I'm also Ifwa Andowa.
Efwa Andowa. Oh, so you see, that's why we gel.
You
Friday
see?
Boys, I like it. And your hair is herring.
Can you imagine?
Locks, like...
I wasn't
What
able
say
to convince you to do it.
Is that like locks dead? Is that what you say?
Fairfield.
Oh, love it. Love it. So, Doc, thank you for joining us. I know you're very busy. I know you have students of all levels, bachelor students, masters, PhD, who will see and be like, hey, this prof, she hasn't finished marking our papers and she's on TV. But it's for a good cause, okay? The things that she does also help to enrich her knowledge and scope to make her the best supervisor for your PhD thesis, I can tell you that. Fante Fante.
Fante Fante.
Can you tell us a bit about it?
Okay, so originally, the dish was developed by fishermen.
Okay.
And there are different versions of this dish. Traditionally, it's apofanto.
Apofanto.
So what they do is, when they go to sea, they take some of the fish, grind tomato, onions, and pepper, and pour it on it, cook it, and then eat it with gari or kinky or whatever.
So this is similar
to
the gan aklo.
Probably. I'm not too familiar with that. And then there is also another one known as intitsi.
Intitsi?
Yes, that one uses smaller sized fishes.
Okay.
So it's called intitsi. And this one is Fante Fante. And this Fante Fante is nraba. Fante Fante na yerbeyan and then raba for ones and unkote na yenya dajirin. The kind that social media like to bash.
So just to put it, those who don't understand Fante, says the Fante Fante we're going to make, it's it's the one for ladies, almost slay queen, but not quite.
I like that.
Almost, but not quite. I love it. So let's get into it.
Okay, so it's a very simple dish and it goes with Etew, Fante Kenke, sometimes gari, whatever you can find, or even rice.
And Etew is similar to banku.
Etew is similar to banku, but it is without the cassava dough. Right. So it's just the corn dough. It's just the corn dough.
So that's also very similar to the gan banku.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is the basic tomato sauce. But this time around, we are not using oil, bleached oil. We are using palm oil.
Okay.
As I said, I would want to cut everything, all the ingredients that we have. But we have a paste of garlic, ginger, and onions.
Okay. Garlic, ginger, onions.
Yes.
Okay.
Just
the garlic and ginger we know.
Garlic and ginger.
This is not ginger or garlic that has been to university. It's a
no,
normal one that we know.
Yes, we want the local ones. And I want us to note at this point that fish is a very delicate meat to cook with because it doesn't have too much flavor on its own when it is cooked. So you don't want to overpower it with seasoning.
Okay.
The seasoning must blend into the fish so that you taste the fish and not the seasoning. And basically that's what we are going to try to do. Okay. For me to use these tomatoes, I'm going to blanch it. I'm going to blanch it. And what that means is that I will just drop the tomatoes, a couple of the tomatoes that I am going to use into the saucepan and then pour hot water on it.
Okay.
And it has to be boiling water. Okay. It has to be boiling water. My water here is not too hot. I will put it back on my fire just for 2 seconds to warm.
Okay.
Yeah. Just for 2 seconds to heat up the water again. Okay. And the essence of this is to make it easy for me to skin the tomatoes. Okay. As I said, this one is ladies Fante Fante, so we don't want the skin and the seeds in the tomatoes. And for it to be easy for us to peel the tomatoes, I will blanch it. And blanching it basically is putting it in hot water, covering it, softening it a bit, and then
we
peeling
can
it.
take off that.
Exactly. Whilst we do that, we will cut onions and peppers ready for the tomatoes. So we are going to basically cook red oil stew.
Okay. Red oil stew. That's basically
Yes.
what it is.
But
Okay.
for our fish, I am going to season my fish because I want the fish to be tasty. Very tasty.
Hey, a rubber Fante Fante has to be tasty.
It has to be very tasty.
Yes.
So I am going to season my fish.
Okay. So what are we using for the seasoning?
As I said, I
don't want
want
anything to
very
overpower
mild
it.
natural seasoning. So
Okay.
I'm just going to use the ginger, garlic, onion, and pepper
Okay.
paste.
Okay.
And then I will add a taste enhancer.
Okay.
So you can use any taste enhancer of your choice.
All right. Then let's use the Tasty Tom shrimp. Since
Sure.
we're doing
Sure.
fish, it's from the same source.
Sure.
From the sea. Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to know the quantity that I should take.
Okay.
Can I have some salt?
Yes, of course.
So, as I said, fish is very delicate in taste, so you don't want to overpower it. So as you can see, I just poured just a little taste enhancer. Then I will add my salt. If you don't do this and you put the fish, I know some people put the fish straight into the stew and the fish will absorb
the
the
taste.
flavors or the taste of the stew. But that also limits the tastiness of the fish. So I like to season it a bit, not too much, a bit.
So we should romance the fish small. We should
Yes.
give it its own pride and joy before we put it in the stew.
Exactly.
Let me just take this plate away
So
that
I'll marinate the fish in these spices.
Okay, I'm back. You know, you're cooking in our local kitchens. If you leave anything that attracts flies, we are in trouble. So
I'm trying so hard to do it naturally.
to do it naturally.
If you've not seen your mom do that one before, then
You
you
see?
probably haven't seen her
You
cook
see, so
before.
Prof, she's used to training hospitality, tourism experts. So you can't be in a professional kitchen and be, you know,
Exactly.
licking and dabbing. Uh-huh.
But it's part of our
But
culture.
we are also
It's part of
enjoying our culture. We are reminiscing and trying to bring back some of the nostalgia as well today. So it's fine. We are all set.
So whilst I am doing this, I will transfer my fish into the pot and I will bring it to the boil slightly.
Okay.
And this is to infuse and lock the seasoning in the fish. It does two things. It makes it more tasty and it also drains or brings out the natural water that is in the fish. If you don't do this and you put the fish straight into your stew, then you would have to let the stew cook longer
because
so
of the
that
water content
exactly,
will
you
now
can
have to
evaporate the water. And fish has very little connective tissue. So the longer you cook it, the more it disintegrates. Don't
all.
add any water, please.
Okay.
The natural waters from the fish will do the trick.
Alrighty. Wonderful.
Akioko, the
Yes,
fish
my love.
is your
It's my
business.
it's my business.
Make sure it doesn't burn.
Yes, please. So if the fish burns, that's on me. So Doc, what
Okay.
are we doing
So
next?
now I'm waiting for my tomato to cool up a bit because I have to hold it and peel the skin. So whilst I'm waiting, I'm going to dice my onions for the stew.
Okay. Looks glorious.
As I said, when you blanch the tomatoes, you will see the skin already
Look at
peeling.
that.
So easy. This you don't have to waste. You can put this aside and blend it with your pepper and
Okay.
put it back into the stew.
Okay.
If you have fish in the fridge, and you come back home late, you can easily whip this up. You don't even have to turn on your blender. Just peel it, cut tomatoes, cut onions, and it's a very healthy meal for the whole family. You can add rice, you can add gari, you can add kenke, you can make etew if you have the time. If you don't, you can leave it at that. If you have smaller children who are not so used to eating fish, you can fillet the fish, but that has to be a bigger fish because smaller ones may have bones that you are not able to take out. So if you fillet the big fish, and the big fish also holds better, they will last a little longer before they disintegrate.
So your children, like I know you're a mother of twins.
Yes, sir.
Did they like this when they were younger?
Yes, depending on the kind of fish
Now
I
they are
used.
adults.
They are adults. Depending on the kind of fish I use. If I use a bigger fish and I season it well, they like it. If I use smaller fishes with bones in it,
Then they
don't
forget
like it. Yes.
Interesting.
And intiti can be very bony. It is eaten by professional fantes.
I like that. I like that. Okay.
And then I also, when you come into my freezer, you would find palm nut. That has been pounded, deseeded, and just sitting in Ziploc bags in the freezer.
Ready to go.
So when I can prepare palm nut soup after work, I just pick it, put my meat and other with other spices on the stove, bring it to the boil, make sure it is soft, add my hot water to my palm nuts, then put it in. I have my palm nut soup.
How do you say palm nut soup in Fante?
Abienkwan.
Abienkwan.
Abienkwan. If you have a husband who doesn't eat food in the fridge, let me show you the trick.
Tell me, because some of
you
us
have your red oil stew portioned into bits in the freezer. Then you have a little boiled okra, a little boiled garden eggs, a little chopped contomere, all in zip bags there. So you come back from work, you just take one portion of your oil stew, put it in the bowl.
One portion of okra.
Please. And then you would have your steamed meat or whatever he likes to eat, all of them cooked already and packed in bits and pieces. The trick is to do it, pack it in portions.
Okay.
So that you don't eat and go and restore, eat and go and restore. So you pick your meat, put it on fire, add your stew, add your contomere, you have contomere stew. Pick your stew, add your meat, add your okra, you have your okra stew. And he will see you cooking and he won't know how you did it in 5 minutes.
And he will give you fans.
And he will give you fans.
I love it.
So that is what I do. And it always comes out fresh rather than cooking in bulk. Everything fully cooked in bulk and stored. So that also works.
That's a million city tip right there. Yeah, so should we pay you royalties for this?
Please. You can actually chop your pepper stew. You just have to pick it and then cut it around the seeds. So you see, that's my pepper without seeds.
Ah, that's it.
Yeah, and I can chop it.
So then you also reduce the heat in terms of the hotness.
Yes, I can chop it. I'm just showing this as an example. I'm not going to put it in because I already have blended pepper. So you can actually chop this like that and add it to your stew.
And that's it.
Without blending it, yes. And add it to the stew.
Interesting.
If not, you can add it to all pepper.
So again,
to all
when
of
there's
the
no
skin and
light,
the seeds and blend it.
when power fails you or eludes you,
This is it.
this is it.
Can I have another saucepan for the stew?
Okay. So please, we need another saucepan so we can start the stew. I think there's one over there. Let me bring it. But I'm really, you see, I didn't disappoint you, Doc. I didn't disappoint you.
You've done a beautiful job.
disappoint
Thank
you.
you so much. You've done a beautiful job. So I am going to take my fish out. As you can see, it is whole. It is steamed and very flavorful and tasty. I still have some of the spices in the pan and I want it to be that way.
Okay. Okay.
because I am going to put my squid in the pan.
Sorry. Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
I'm going to put my squid in the pan and go through the same process.
Okay.
That fire is not lighting.
No.
So
You wanted to start the stew?
Yes, I'll start the stew.
Okay.
But I wanted to.
Let me. Okay, so I'll put. Okay. So the squid is going right, and again, no water.
No water,
Okay,
just the
so-
spices.
Okay. So we'll just top up a bit.
A bit,
Because we have some of the
yes.
spices in there. So this is our pepper, ginger, garlic. Okay.
And then a little of our tasty tom shrimp.
Okay.
Just a little.
All right. Do we need salt?
No.
No. There may be a bit of salt in
Exactly.
the
But it's going to go into the sauce.
Okay.
And I'll put everything in it before I put salt.
Okay.
This is how I measure it. So
Literally a pinch of salt.
pinch.
Our fire is nice and hot.
Is it? Okay. Now that it's coated, I can cover it a bit.
Okay, so we should cover it.
So as I already said, with Etew, there is no cassava dough. It's just the corn dough. So this is our corn dough. And you would want to take enough into your saucepan or your pot. In this case, I like to mix it a little bit firm so that I would have the opportunity to put a lot of hot water on it and allow it to cook. Yes, because I don't want to be driving it
So
like
this is
someone will say,
Irabato.
Irabato, if you don't want stress.
But it makes more sense, at least to me, to add the salt now because this is
Yeah.
very liquid. So you can easily stir it in.
Yeah.
When it started forming into a paste and then becomes harder, how do you now evenly distribute the salt? You know? Anyway, I guess people also have their skills.
There are
so,
reasons.
their techniques.
Okay.
Okay, so
the
our fire
Etew
is ready.
there.
Nice and
I
hot.
will drop this here.
Okay. But the bubbles are already popping up here. So our fire is nice and hot.
So we have to start stirring it. If you don't want stress, you start early before it gets hard.
It gets hard.
So that it doesn't get lumpy. Some people know how to do it so well, so they can wait for it to be very hard before they start.
So some
Pressing
people
it to the
are
sides.
professional Etew makers,
Yeah.
basically.
Now that I am sure that I don't have any lumps, I'm going to put my water behind it. Now this is where the soft life
So you have
lady
hot water.
act comes
Yes.
in. Just put your hot water here. Thank you.
Welcome.
Scoop it all. Make sure that everything gets into the water. As you can see, I turned it around so that the bottom is now on top.
That Etew is beautiful. Looks
It
so
looks good already.
It looks so good. So, Doc, you know what? Let's take a break. Let's go for a break.
Sure.
When we come back, I'm sure by then our Etew will be, be cooked or at least almost cooked, and then we can show the process of taking it out, and then our Fante Fante to get to the point where we can put our fish and our squid in. This is still What's Cooking. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's What's Cooking. We're still here and we're in our heritage garden in Heritage Month. And this is Channel One TV. Do not be deceived. My name is Apioko. My guest today is Dr. Alberta Bondzi-Simpson, who I like to call Prof. She doesn't like it when I do that, but I'll keep doing it. Dr. Bondzi-Simpson is a lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, UCC, popularly known as it is, and she's with the Department of Hospitality and Tourism Management. But she's also the author of Serving Ghana. It's a cookbook by all standards, international, local, or otherwise, universal, you name it, that has 70 plus recipes that just show you what to do with indigenous Ghanaian meals. It's fabulous, I tell you, amazing. And you need to find a copy for yourself. All right, so Doc, we've been making some Fante Fante and Etew. All right, and it looks like it's going very well on our cool pots, you know, Iraba version.
Iraba version.
But
soft life
Iraba version. But how are we doing? How's this looking?
It's looking good.
Okay. So for those who are just joining us, the Fante Fante is the sauce, the stew, and it's a fish stew.
Yes.
Fresh fish stew.
Yes.
How do you say that in Enam?
Enamamun froy.
Enamamun froy. Okay, enamamun froy. So that's pure Fante for you. Today my Fante is coming. Yes.
The key to a good Fante Fante is that it shouldn't be too dry.
Okay.
So you don't have to cook it too much.
Okay.
It's nice when it is half-half and you can taste some freshness. And
okay.
You don't want the stew to be too dry.
Okay.
So this is perfect.
This is perfect.
Because we steamed our fish and squid with spices and salt, I haven't added any salt to the stew.
Right.
I want to transfer the fish and the squid into the stew, taste it and make sure that the salt is okay. If it's not okay, then I add more. If I add salt to the stew now and I put this in, it might be salty.
Makes sense.
So
makes sense.
that's what I'm going to do now.
Okay.
I'll take this out and use this.
And this is like the crowning moment when it comes to Fante Fante.
So as you can see, even though the fish is a little cooked, it's not cooked through. So I will leave it in the sauce for a few minutes for it to boil over.
Okay.
We have some fish heads too that will go in.
Yes. Fish head is very important for these purposes. So apart from fish, this is cassava fish.
Yes.
What other kinds of fish could we possibly use?
You can use grouper too.
Okay.
Grouper is a very nice fish. So this is our squid.
Okay.
It would also go in there with all the goodness of the spices.
And we could have used octopus as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Okay. So you could use
And
grouper
prawns.
and prawns.
I like to use prawns
Please,
too.
you have to send me some prawns from Alina.
And if you are using prawns, you have to peel it.
Okay. Okay. We
have
can't
to
leave it in the shell and dump it in.
You have to peel it. So if we can see how our sauce is doing, it's looking delicious.
Beautiful. I can smell the etew.
Now
This
that
is pretty much ready.
yes,
You know when you make any maize dumpling, as we would call it, right? So whether it's banku or aklen or
so a little more
a
salt.
little more salt.
If you've not seen your mother do this, as I said, you've not seen her cook. That is the traditional way of tasting. So okay.
So we are fine. So I can stir it.
Yes, please. Lightly shifting it left because, as I said, fish doesn't have too much connective tissue. If you stir it too hard, it will disintegrate, and you don't want that. So now, after leaving my banku on for God knows how long, I have come back, found the time
this
for
your
it.
soft life banku.
I'm telling you, and it is cooked. It is cooked. All I have to do now is to
That looks really good.
stir it through so that I get a good consistency, and that is it. I'm good to go.
Okay.
And it is good to make the banku, the etew, very soft, because when it sits for just a few minutes, it becomes very hard. So
Because
when
we don't
you
have
make
the
it
cassava dough in there, right?
exactly, so when you make it soft, then you can keep it for a longer time. In molding it, we are going to mold it in plantain
Plantain
leaves.
leaves.
Plantain, fresh plantain leaves. I have come to notice that if you mold it in the fresh plantain leaves, pack it beautifully into a nice bowl and cover it tightly, it will last almost 2 weeks in the fridge.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yes.
Even
you
with
don't
the
have to keep
softness
doing
and
it.
everything.
Yes.
So then how do you heat it up?
Just put it in the microwave.
That's it. That's it. So I was waiting for you to give me a soft life response.
Just put it in the microwave. So as you can see, I have no lumps in my etew. Even though I've not been driving it, as people will say, for
Yes,
so
yeah,
long,
yeah.
I have no lumps in it. And I didn't have to do much.
I love it. I love it. I love it. But I'm just thinking about heating it up in the microwave. So because it's in the plantain leaf is natural, medicinal, so you're not worried about doing that as you would be if you had it wrapped in the olunka bags or
Please,
the banku rubber,
don't put
as we
this,
say.
yes, don't put this in rubber.
No, we don't want that.
Because it's very hot. So you will get all the carcinogenic effects that you don't want when you cook rice covered with plastic. So you don't want plastic anywhere near very hot food. You don't want plastic near it. So this is my etew cooked. You can try it and see.
It looks
Taste
amazing.
it.
It's perfect.
Okay. I wonder how you're going to eat your etew with your nails.
And don't worry. We know how to eat it.
You will find a way. So this is a
Mirabelle.
perfect Iraba.
A rubber, yes.
Soft
So we
life
have
lady.
our ways around it.
Okay. So there is no perfect way of doing this. Just make sure that you have covered it all up. That's all that
As
there is
simple
to
as
it.
that.
As simple as that. So traditionally, etew doesn't take the shape of banku. Traditionally, it takes a cylindrical shape. When you are folding it, it takes a cylindrical shape. So I'll try that for us to see.
Okay. Yes, whereas banku is round.
Yeah.
Or rounded.
Yeah.
Now we have all sorts of banku shapes, you know.
Oops.
But traditionally it's cylindrical.
Yeah.
And I guess because etew is harder than banku or firmer, it's easier to mold in that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's hot.
So now I understand
need-
why you requested a plate.
Yes.
We were using our
So
banku
you
knowledge.
see them doing that to it and folding it into a cylindrical shape.
So Doc, did you learn all this from your mother?
Yes. Yes.
So your mother used to make etew, even in Tema.
Even in them.
Sounds like my mother.
But condo is everywhere. So
Back in the 90s, when we were living in the US, we used to make kinky, gan kinky. Yeah. And I mean, it was much more difficult. Now there are African shops all over the place, all
Yeah.
over the world. It was much more difficult to find one of those and find the corn husk.
I'm making some small ones.
So we had other ways of doing it. And everybody had their night watch to pay attention to the kinky on the stove.
On the stove before it overcooks.
Yes,
Eh?
but there had to be kinky in the house at all times.
Our mothers really did well.
Oh, they did. They did. They
They
did.
really did well.
They really did.
It's been easy.
Okay, so this one is for a baby.
I can actually add this to this.
But is etew something that well, toddlers could eat it, but
Yeah.
you know, we typically start doing the banku and the cocoa when the child is 6 months plus and they're getting into salt. Is this something that we could do for them as well? Or it have to be very
None
soft?
of my kids were weaned on cocoa. It was straight from breast milk, 6 months intensive to banku,
To banku.
emutu,
Oh,
whatever
Lord.
it is. Because honestly, there was no time to cook the
To do
cocoa and then come
You
and
can't
do the banku
cocoa
and
the
come and no.
banku. So, baby, you eat one of them.
Exactly. So we had to find a way of feeding
interesting.
them what we were eating. So there was a compromise. We all had to come to the middle. So I'll put a lot of powdered shrimps, powdered fish in the stew, smoked salmon, which is soft that the babies can eat. So we had to get used to it and reduce the pepper content of our food. And dare it to say that they really did
you also
enjoy
couldn't
it.
make food for you and Prof. And then now make food for the... So we're all eating from the same pot.
We are all eating from the same pot.
I love it. I love it.
And they enjoyed it. They really did enjoy it. So my kids are not cocoa porridge kind of kids. No.
Straight.
It is the banku.
We love it. Love to hear.
And the etew. Okay, so that is it. I will pour the water I was using here into the pan so that it will help with the cleanup. Okay. There.
Okay. So how is our Fante Fante doing? Is it looking good? Is it ready?
It's beautiful. It's
Is
beautiful.
our fish cooked well enough?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it works for me, but this is your dish, so...
I know, right? Yes, fish doesn't take long to cook. It takes just a little heat and it is done. So I will dish some on this.
On this, okay. So on that note, let's go for a break. Ladies and gentlemen, our Fante Fante and our Etew is ready. So when we come back, we will sit down and we'll eat like a Rabba 1 and a Rabba 2. The soft-life queens that we are. We'll be right back. This is still What's Cooking. It's still ChannelOne TV. And my name is still Apioko, a.k.a. Mami Efwa Adezoa. I love it. I love the way it rings my ears. And I would like to thank our sponsors once again. Tasty Tom, Ufa Kakra, Na Ye Bebre, the Susie Herbal Center as well. You can check them out. They have interesting products available for you. And Kivo. Kivo has a range of spices, not just the hot pepper, you know, not just the gari. It's a whole range of things. So please find it, use it. You will not be disappointed. Now I've been cooking today with the lady, my prof, Dr. Alberta Bondzi-Simpson, and we've been making some Fante Fante with Etew, a very traditional, indigenous, nostalgic Fante dish. How are you feeling?
Very good.
Yeah?
Very good.
So okay, we should start.
Yes.
Okay, how are we eating this?
Okay. So this is already dished.
Okay.
And as I said, this one is the fingers. Some fancy gentlemen like to do the fork and knife, but well, and the ladies, of course. So
The ladies, of course. No, today we're doing, it's Heritage Month, so let's do it properly.
yes.
Okay.
So are you eating that?
Yes, I can eat this.
Okay.
Yeah, why not? Okay, and we have some masana here as well. It's your favorite?
My favorite drink by far.
Mine too. Mine too. But do you typically have yours with milk, without?
No, just
okay,
without.
so you're like me, without milk. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. Somebody says it's African malt.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Good stuff.
Nice and cold. Okay, so talk.
As I said, you can see it's become very firm.
Yes.
Even though it was very
mine
soft
too.
at the
Yeah.
beginning, it's now very firm.
This is amazing. my struggle with what's cooking. I have to sit down and have conversations. Meanwhile, I really want to enjoy the food. How do I do that? Anyway, Doc.
So you see, the proper way to do this is to massage
it.
the etew
Hey.
in between your fingers, you see? Then
okay, and
you
then
dip it in there.
Okay, and then you go. Okay, so massage. Okay, so Doc,
Yes.
we've done a very traditional meal. I mean, as traditional as it gets, straight from the sea to the pan to the plate. And we are still having conversations in 2025 about the fact that our indigenous meals are too artisanal. And so we're not seeing them in our 5-star hotels and whatnot. Now, you are a hospitality tourism expert. You've proven yourself beyond academia to actually put together this beautiful, beautiful cookbook. And I'll give people the information about how they can find it, and because they should. And like we were saying, if you are a man, add this to your traditional list. If it wasn't on the list, you add it. You can't assume that your lady knows how to cook. And the men too, when you're going off to university, get a book. Just learn how to do our traditional meals. But what do you think we need to be doing to make sure that Sunday to Sunday we have some of
What's
these
cooking?
things in our, oh my Lord.
Ah, welcome.
Yeah. I surveyed and I realized you didn't even have water to drink, so I brought you some water.
Aren't you so kind?
Yeah. And I brought my rice to face the Fante Fante.
But why are you coming to eat Fante Fante with rice?
No, it's Fante London English and Danish and
It's Danish Accra.
Danish Fante. Or Portuguese.
You know,
Which
because
one?
you brought us water, I can't even be mean to you.
No,
so
no,
you
no.
just, we'll give you some.
So you can serve me a stew. Oh yes.
We'll
Pass
give
me
you
the
some.
stew. Let me. But
Here
you have chene. You know chene. Calabash.
The calabash.
Yes. Yes. This will go wow with the Reese. Fante Fante.
Can I finish asking my question?
Oh, please ask. Etew nasi. Skelele, skelele.
Doc, like, can you imagine having a neighbor like this?
Very interesting. If
how?
you like to cook, you need neighbors like this.
Yes.
Because when you cook and you don't get anybody to
You
eat
should come
it,
and
it's
help
quite
us
boring.
cook the food. That's the whole. You can't just show up and be eating the food all the time. You don't contribute. You don't give me any money.
The
At
one
least
that times you comes at the right time.
No, man. No.
Just to say hello, how are you?
No, we cannot do this. Anyway, what do we need to do? What are we missing? How can we have these foods in our 5-star hotels? How can we make them more popular around the globe? What are we doing wrong?
Okay, so that was the basis for the book. That was what birthed the book. Being in the hospitality industry, finding it difficult to find indigenous Ghanaian dishes in the hotels when you visit, right from the north to the south, I have tried. Anecdotal information and recognizance survey proved that it was very difficult to find Ghanaian dishes on a hotel menu. There were very few that were quite popular. It won't count more than 8. But as we were going around collecting data, we collected over 150 Ghanaian dishes. So it means we have a lot more out there. So I realized that for the a la carte menu, it is quite easy to incorporate Ghanaian dishes into table dot menus and buffets, because those ones are pre-planned, pre-prepared, and then served. But with the a la carte, where it is prepared to order, it is more difficult for the chefs, according to them, to cook the Ghanaian dishes within 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and serve it to the guest. So I sat back and realized that the fundamentals of a good a la carte restaurant is a good mise en place, which is preparation before time. So which parts of the Ghanaian dishes can we prepare before the real service time? And when you think about it that way, then you realize that you can serve any Ghanaian dishes within 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Like I aforementioned when I was cooking, if you even want to prepare palm nut soup, you can have your palm base already there. If you want to go the extra mile, you can even squeeze out the juice, the palm juice, portion it, put it in the freezer and let it freeze. Steam your meat, your periwinkles, your snails, whatever base you use for your palm nuts, steam it, pack it, put it there. Then all you have to do is to pick it up, add your tomatoes, onions, pepper, bring it to the boil, blend your tomato, onion, pepper, put it on your fish, meat, snails, crabs, periwinkle. You know, I'm a typical Fante, so it has to be a
The
United
Fante woman
Nations.
is shining through.
Exactly. And then you just add your already prepared, stored palm juice to it. That is it. And that will cook in like 20 minutes. You are done because the meat is already soft. The palm has already been extracted. Everything is done. Within 15 minutes, it should be out of the kitchen.
So Doc, I mean, how then do we now need to send all our hospitality professionals back to hospitality school? I mean, is there a sandwich course, for example, that UCC has, or any of our tourism programs around the country? Because, I mean, if this is what you've discovered, it's brilliant, but how do we now make it materialize on the ground?
Okay, so cooking is an art and it's a profession. And like all other professions, pharmacy, medicine, hairdressing, all of them, you have continuous professional training. And it can be in-house training or it can be done in an institution if you want. So if a hotel wants further training for their staff in areas of, say, Ghanaian dishes, they can always get resource persons like myself. I do that for some establishments. I'll just go in there, take them through the kind of training they want. Sometimes it's customer service, sometimes it's cost control, sometimes it's waste management, sometimes it is culinary skills. We can always come in there and do it. But if you want to send them back to school, UCC is always there, the best hospitality school.
So which one would you
Ghana.
take me through, Doc? Dr. Bondzi-Simpson?
Yes, please.
Which one would you take me through?
You didn't even come to help us cook.
Are you enjoying it?
Yes, the Fante Fante is Fante. Yeah. It's Fante. So which one would you take me through, or would you have me do at the UCC?
Which program?
No, yes, like someone who tastes food.
Then you can come and we have sandwich courses in hospitality management.
Okay.
We are developing certificate courses. And
So you want to be a professional taster?
I am semi.
Can you imagine? But Doc, I mean, you've said a lot of interesting things. I've seen something happen in a lot of our hotels now, and I mean, there are not so many. Our 5-star hotels, we have very few in Ghana, but a few of them, now they have a continental chef and then they have a Ghanaian chef. You know, how do you think that model can sort of revive this thing we're talking about, getting our indigenous meals onto the professional dining table?
actually, specialization is the way to go. Specialization is the way to go. When you go to a place like China, they specialize to the teeth. So people who have specialized in just cold dishes, people who have specialized in just hot dishes, people who have specialized in indigenous Chinese dishes from a certain particular region, you know. So I think if we really want to do well with our gastronomic tourism, then we have to have specialization. I also realize that we don't have much training in Ghanaian dishes in our tertiary institutions.
Right.
And of course, our secondary institutions also don't do much of that. But as I was saying, I had the opportunity to visit China. And right in their SHS level, from 15 to 18 years, they were training bakers, just bakers. Then some were also just learning cold preparations and garnishing, just that.
So right from that level, you can specialize.
Yes, for 3 years, you are specializing. So by the time you leave the secondary school stage, you're already a specialist in one way or the other. And you don't need even to be employed. You can be self-employed because you have learned enough to start on your own and do what you have to do. And I think we have to go back to that model where we train people in focused, I call it focused training. Micro-focused training, micro-focused. So if you're being trained to deal with tires, how to produce tires. That's all you do. There were people who were being trained to fix traffic lights.
So we've been
Micro-focused.
worrying ourselves with a whole lot
Micro-focused.
from the beginning,
Yes,
which is not good.
yes.
Micro-focused.
Micro-focused. And
Because
they
I
have
wanted- I
competitions
wanted to
among
become-
themselves and all of
I
that.
wanted to become a pilot. I should have started from my
You
kindergarten
should have
days.
focused, and now you're a taster. You know, you're a taster. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm fine
And I'm
with
the one
food.
who has to suffer for it.
No.
Okay, Doc, we're wrapping up here, but very quickly, I want to find out from you. So that's on the local level and ensuring that, of course, with this also comes using our own ingredients. As if you're making kontumire comes from Ghana. That's good for the economy, and we can talk about all the ripple effects there later. But on the international front, then what do we do there?
The only way food can travel borders is when you overwhelm your visitors with your own food.
Interesting. The only way food can travel borders is when you overwhelm your visitors
With your own
food.
So that when they go out there, they will miss your food. And so if someone from your country opens a restaurant serving your food in their country, they will go and patronize. And that is acculturation. You cannot keep serving fried rice and all the continental dishes and train in Chinese, French, Italian cooking and feed it to your guests when they come to Ghana. All the hotels and the top restaurants are all serving all of these continental dishes. When they go back there, they won't miss Ghanaian dishes. It's only the daring who decide to do street food who may experience true Ghanaian culinary experience. But we should know that when it comes to tourists, you have neophobics and neophilias.
Of course.
People who want to try every new
yes,
thing,
and there's also those
others who will
you know,
never.
they're worried. My stomach, my skin. I don't know how I react. I don't know if it's safe. So they're just not going to be adventurous.
So when you serve them what they don't know in an environment that they don't know, it's more difficult for them to try it. But when you serve them what they don't know in an environment that they know, like a 5-star hotel, it is easier for them to try it. That is why we are advocating that our hotels and restaurants should rep Ghana. Not only the red and the wache and the sometimes banku and tilapia and jollof. No, there are more indigenous dishes out there that are begging to be served to other people.
We love it. Dr. Alberta Bondzi-Simpson, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I hope we have you back again to do more
No,
interesting
she's going to
things.
come back because this
My
Fante
goodness.
Fante. No,
so
no.
just grade it already.
Yes, yes.
You're taking the
No,
wind out
in
of my
fact,
sail.
The book says it all, but on this level, I tell you what, I'll ask for a repeat and learn how to do this one myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
You are asking for a repeat
Yes.
based on
That's where you see me cook, and I'll invite you.
you have to go and buy one of the books. So let me just put out a number. +233, that's because we're also encouraging people from outside of Ghana to buy this book. +233 53 829 7677. Okay, +233 53 829 7677.
Legon Bookshop.
Or Legon Bookshop if you live in Accra, or you can access someone in Accra and have it sent to you wherever you are in Ghana. Go find the brilliant book, Serving Ghana, penned, designed, and put together with love by Dr. Alberta Bondzi-Simpson. Prof, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been What's Cooking. We've been cooking Fante Fante and Etew in our Heritage Month here. Another big thank you to our sponsors, Tasty Tomufa Kakra, Naye Bebre, Kivo Hot Pepper, and everything they have to offer. And of course, the Susie Herbal Center. We'll see you again next week.